Rula Amin is live for us in Beirut. Rula, I had constructive and candid talks with President Assad. That's a quote from Kofi Annan, and of course he's a master of diplomacy. Do we know much more about those talks?
Yes, he also said that he agreed with President Assad on an approach to resolve the crisis that he will discuss and take to the armed opposition. Now, what does this mean? Is this a new solution, a new framework for a new resolution to the crisis? We're not sure, but it was a surprising visit from Kofi Annan to Damascus, and we know that he's going to Iran next. He had made it clear he thinks he has to have more discussions, and he has to get all the countries who have influence over the Syrian government and the opposition involved in any resolution, otherwise it won't work. Now, whether the Syrian government gave him new concessions or not, this is what we need to know, because we have to remember his plan has been in place for almost 3 months and nothing has worked, and it has failed so far. So if this is a last-ditch effort, what can the government do to make it work? Because he needs a serious commitment that the violence will stop. That didn't happen, and it's something that the government says should be done with both sides seizing on violence, the government and the opposition.
Well, let's talk more about the question you posed there. What steps could the government promise but then actually take to try and save the Kofi Annan peace plan, or if not save it, perhaps give it a bit more traction?
Well, it's two things. One, Kofi Annan was trying to, what he was trying to do is to bring the violence to a halt and then start a political dialogue. That didn't work. Now, he wants to start the political dialogue anyway because he thinks that's the only way forward. But the Syrian opposition have made it clear they're not going to talk to the Syrian government as long as President Assad is in his place. He wants him to step down first, and then they start talking about a political resolution. So what the government can do is a serious commitment where it will allow the UN observers to go wherever they want again, to seriously withdraw its troops from the towns and cities, to stop using all these heavy weapons against the populated areas and the armed rebels. And whether the government is on the verge of doing that or not is very unclear, and it would be doubtful because in the past few days we have seen a serious escalation in the violence where the government not only was using artillery and machine guns, but even fire from the air by planes, helicopters, and reconnaissance planes. And the armed opposition is getting stronger and more effective. So the situation on the ground doesn't indicate that both sides are on the verge of holding their fire, but politically there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on the government, and there's a lot of pressure on the Russian and the Chinese to pressure President Assad.
Rula Amin in Beirut. Thanks, Rula.